Hey besties, what's up? Today we're going to read Exodus. So, Exodus 1, Slavery in Egypt. These are the names of the sons of Israel, that is, Jacob, who moved to Egypt with their father, each with his family. Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Judah, Issachar, Zebulun, Benjamin, Dan, Naphtali, Gad, and Asher. In all, Jacob had 70 descendants in Egypt, including Joseph, who was already there. So as you see, it first started off and it said, these are the names of the sons of Israel, that is Jacob. So just in case you didn't know, the Lord changed Jacob's name to Israel, okay? In time, Joseph and all of his brothers died, ending that entire generation. But their descendants, the Israelites, had many children and grandchildren. In fact, they multiplied so greatly that they became extremely powerful and filled the land. Eventually, a new king came to power in Egypt who knew nothing about Joseph or what he had done. He said to his people, "Look, the people of Israel now outnumber us and are stronger than we are. We must make a plan to keep them from growing even more. If we don't, and if war breaks out, they will join our enemies and fight against us. Then they will escape from the country." So it seems like there's a new king who's in charge or is in power in Egypt, and he's afraid of Joseph. The people of Israel now outnumber us and are stronger than we are. Oh, so he's afraid of how many people Israel has came to be now. And he's not aware of what Joseph has done. So the Egyptians made the Israelites their slaves. They appointed brutal slave drivers over them, hoping to wear them down with crushing labor. They forced them to build the cities of Pithom and Ramesses as supply centers for the king. But the more the Egyptians oppressed them, the more the Israelites multiplied and spread, and the more alarmed the Egyptians became. So the Egyptians worked the people of Israel without mercy. They made their lives bitter, forcing them to mix mortar and make bricks and do all the work in the fields. They were ruthless in all their demands. So the Egyptians made the Israelites their slaves. I wonder if that is when I read, I believe, somewhere in Genesis, I had read how, was that during Joseph? Okay, yes. How when they were going through the famine with Joseph, that they actually gave themselves up as slaves so that they could eat. That's because they ran out of money. So in order for payment, that's what they did. They offered themselves up to be slaves so that they could eat. But that was during Joseph's time. So the Egyptians made the Israelites their slaves. I'm wondering if that's what they're referencing or if there was another way that they actually got forced. So then Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, gave this order to the Hebrew midwives, Shiphrah and Puah. When you help the Hebrew women as they give birth, watch as they deliver. If the baby is a boy, kill him. If it is a girl, let her live. But because the midwives feared God, they refused to obey the king's orders. They allowed the boys to live too. So the king of Egypt called for the midwives. "Why have you done this?" he demanded. "Why have you allowed the boys to live? The Hebrew women are not like the Egyptian women." The midwives replied, "They are more vigorous and have their babies so quickly that we cannot get there in time." So God was good to the midwives, and the Israelites continued to multiply, growing more and more powerful. And because the midwives feared God, he gave them families of their own. Then Pharaoh gave this order to all his people: "Throw every newborn Hebrew boy into the Nile River, but you may let the girl live." So this new Pharaoh has already forced them to be slaves. Now he's telling the midwives that they need to kill all the baby boys. And now he has made it an order: throw every newborn Hebrew boy into the Nile River. God chooses Moses, the birth of Moses. About this time, a man and woman from the tribe of Levi got married. The woman became pregnant and gave birth to a son. She saw that he was a special boy and kept him hidden for 3 months. But when she could no longer hide him, she got a basket made of papyrus reeds and waterproofed it with tar and pitch. She put the baby in the basket and laid it among the reeds along the bank of the Nile River. The baby's sister then stood at a distance, watching to see what would happen to him. So remember, the birth of Moses. They're supposed to be throwing away into the river all the young Hebrew boys, all the Hebrew newborns. So Moses' mom has done what she can to save her son, and she's been able to hide him for 3 months. But now the time has come up, and she's like, look, I got to do something. So she creates a basket, and she sends him down along the Nile River. Soon Pharaoh's daughter came down to bathe in the river, and her attendants walked along the riverbank. When the princess saw the basket among the reeds, she sent her maid to get it for her. When the princess opened it, she saw the baby. The little boy was crying, and she felt sorry for him. This must be one of the Hebrew children, she said. So another reason that I have been waiting to read Exodus is because I love the Prince of Egypt, and I wanted to see the differences. And right now, I can already spot out a difference from the movie to the Bible. So it says, Pharaoh's daughter came down to bathe in the river, and her attendants walked along the riverbank. When the princess saw the basket among the reeds, she sent her maid to get it for her. I believe in the movie, it was the queen that found the baby going down the river. I believe so. Then the baby's sister approached the princess. Should I go and find one of the Hebrew women to nurse the baby for you? She asked. Then the baby's sister approached the princess. Should I go and find one of the Hebrew women to nurse the baby for you? She asked. Yes, do. The princess replied. So the girl went and called the baby's mother. Okay, so the sister was watching as the baby went down the Nile. The Pharaoh's daughter picked up the baby out of the Nile. Then the baby's sister walked over to Pharaoh's daughter and asked if she could go get help for the baby, which is her brother. So the girl went and called the baby's mother. Okay, so the sister went and got her mom, which is also the baby's mom. Take this baby and nurse him for me. The princess told the baby's mother, I will pay you for your help. So the woman took her baby home and nursed him. Later, when the boy was older, his mother brought him back to Pharaoh's daughter, who adopted him as her own. The princess named him Moses, for she explained, I lifted him out of the water. Pharaoh's daughter's princess. Yeah, I think the person that found Moses was the queen, right? Was it not Pharaoh's wife? Anyways, so now another difference, I'm seeing that Moses is actually being cared for by his mom during his younger years, or in the movie, the baby was just, with the Pharaoh. So here we go. Take this baby and nurse him for me. The princess told the baby's mother, I will pay you for your help. So the woman took her baby home and nursed him. Later, when the boy was older, his mother brought him back to Pharaoh's daughter, who adopted him as her own. The princess named him Moses, for she explained, I lifted him out of the water. Okay, so it says that Moses went back with his mom. His mom took care of him while he was young. Then when he got to a certain age, she took the boy back to Pharaoh's daughter, and they adopted Moses. So now Moses is adopted by the Pharaoh, and this is how he becomes a Pharaoh's son. And Moses means I lifted him out of the water, is what I'm assuming. I'm gonna have to look into the meaning of Moses. Many years later, when Moses had grown up, he went out to visit his own people, the Hebrews, and he saw how hard they were forced to work. During his visit, he saw an Egyptian beating one of his fellow Hebrews. After looking in all directions to make sure no one was watching, Moses killed the Egyptian and hid the body in the sand. Okay, so in the movie,
Okay.
Thank you so much. So in the movie, He goes down the river. He gets taken. Then he's like immediately adopted and is grown up there. In the book, he gets adopted once he's old. And then so I guess this is actually how he remembers his sister and his family in real life, because he actually grew up with them. So he must have known that they were his siblings and things like that. Because it says many years later, when he grew up, he went out to visit his people. So he already was aware of the Hebrews. It's not like in the movie where he mysteriously saw them at like a well or something. He was aware of them the whole time. Okay, he saw how hard they were forced to work. During his visit, he saw an Egyptian beating one of his fellow Hebrews. After looking in all directions to make sure no one was watching, Moses killed the Egyptian and hid the body in the sand. The next day, when Moses went out to visit his people again, he saw 2 Hebrew men fighting. "Why are you beating up your friend?" Moses said to the one who had started the fight. The man replied, "Who appointed you to be our prince and judge? Are you going to kill me as you killed the Egyptian yesterday?" Then Moses was afraid, thinking, "Everyone knows what I did." And sure enough, Pharaoh heard what had happened, and he tried to kill Moses. But Moses fled from Pharaoh and went to live in the land of Midian. Yeah, I don't think in the movie they tried to kill Moses. I mean, I do remember him being scared because the guy like fell down on the thing. When Moses arrived in Midian, he sat down beside a well. Now the priest of Midian had 7 daughters who came as usual to draw water and fill the water trough for their... Let me reread that. Now the priest of Midian had 7 daughters who came as usual to draw water and fill the water troughs for their father's flock. But some other shepherds came and chased them away. So Moses jumped up and rescued the girls from the shepherds. Then he drew water for their flocks. When the girl returned to Raul, their father, he asked, "Why are you back so soon today?" "An Egyptian rescued us from the shepherds," they answered, "and then he drew water for us and watered our flocks." "Then where is he?" their father asked. "Why did you leave him there? Invite him to come and eat with us." Moses accepted the invitation, and he settled there with him. In time, Raul gave Moses his daughter Zipporah to be his wife. Later, she gave birth to a son, and Moses named him Gershom, for he explained, "I have been a foreigner in a foreign land." Okay, so another thing, in the movie, the girl he marries is brought to be like a concubine or some type of maybe sexual quest for his brother when he gets like promoted or something like that. But in here, it seems that in the Bible, it seems that he just escaped when he got afraid after he killed the guy. And then he went down to the well, and out of the people that he saved, he was invited to eat dinner for helping them, get the water and get their flocks. And that's how he actually met his wife. Years passed, and the king of Egypt died, but the Israelites continued to groan under their burden of slavery. They cried out for help, and their cry rose up to God. God heard their groaning, and he remembered his covenant promised to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. He looked down on the people of Israel and knew it was time to act. So the king of Egypt died, and the Israelites were still slaves. Okay, that's chapters 1 and 2. That's chapters 1 and 2. We'll do chapter 3 and 4 at a later time.